What's going on, guys? Welcome to another one of Black Iron's battles. Today we've got a Total War Warhammer 2 versus 2 quick battle for you, where I am teamed up with my buddy the Gobbo King, and we are leading the Norsca and the Wintertooth hordes, and we are facing off against 2 Dawi. So this has been a quick battle. I was lucky that my good friend Gobbo King wanted to play some, so we got a few matches in. This one was the most exciting I felt. Now, if you haven't heard of Gobbo King, he's got a great YouTube channel. It's got all sorts of breakdowns, all sorts of fun theme battles, and I mean, he's just got a lot of great content on there. So go check him out. It's the Gobbo King on YouTube, and let's go ahead and check out which army he decided to bring. So right off the bat, you'll see I think he only brought something like 200 units. So I was pretty worried. He brought these 2 groups of Ice Wolf chariots. He also brought 4 Norscan ice trolls. So I knew I brought a couple of ice trolls, but 4 ice trolls is a lot more than I expected. So that's really why his unit count was so low. Here you'll see he does have just 2 groups of marauders. Those are, I think, just to kind of throw in there and provide a little bit of fodder, along with these the shaman he's got over here is the Lore of Metal. So if you look here, it looks like he has brought that shaman on a chariot, which is always great against the dwarves. He's also got Wolfric here on a chariot. Oh, he looks so cool to me. And so it's just chariots all around. I think besides that war mammoth with the war shrine on it, he's also, I mean, 4 chariots, the ice wolves and the 2 Lord and the hero. So that is just a huge rolling army, you know, high mass to take against these dwarves. Over on my side, you'll see I also have brought 2 Norscan ice trolls. So just their the fact that they've got armor piercing, they've got that frostbite, which slows the enemy unit speed. They're just a great pick to use against the dwarves. Here in the back, you'll see we've got 3 groups of marauder hunters, which are those javelin throwers. And I mean, if they had brought in some gyrocopters, I wanted to be able to take those gyros out of the air. Over here on the left, you'll see I've got this shaman, and he's got the Lore of Fire. So I'm never quite sure what to bring against the dwarves because they have that innate magic resistance. But I did go ahead and bring Cascading Fire Cloak and Flaming Sword of Ruin. Although I'm not sure how good it'll do, it's definitely, you know, just a little bit of buff to have. I've also got this 3 groups of Marauder Champion, which is those elite Norsca infantry. Those, you know, they have 80 armor, which for a Norscan is a lot, and they're just able to get in there and do some major damage. Here in the front, we've got 3 groups of Marauder Spearmen to hold the line. Those are actually have a much higher defense than these Marauders over here. So you see the Marauders only got 20. Even though they're the great weapon variety, so they have armor piercing and stuff, these ones have 38. So they are able to hold the front line a little bit longer. Over here on the Dwarven side, you'll see they do have a ton of artillery. So they've got 1-2 cannons and 1-2 groups of organ guns. Besides that, it looks like they've got on each side, they've got a group of slayers. There's the Regiment of Renown, those dragonback slayers, and they've also got a regular group here guarding this side. So that is just a huge amount of artillery, and hopefully they can get them trained over there on Gobbo, and that would just cause some major damage. So here on the flanks, you'll see they've got Longbeards with great weapons. They've got some warriors of the Dragonfire Pass, which are those regular dwarf warriors, but they're the Regiment of Renown. So they've got flaming axes, and they've got buff stats. If you look here, they've just got a ton of Longbeards. So if we take a look from the top, you see here it's 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of Longbeards, 5 groups of Longbeards with great weapons, and they've got a bunch of regular 1, 2. I mean, they've got dwarf warriors. They've got 3 groups of Longbeards. They've got just a ton of Thunderers in the front. It looks like 7 groups of Thunderers. So they've got 7 Thunderers there in the front. So they're going to be taking a huge amount of shots. And as we charge in here, because we're going to have to approach them because of this artillery. So they've got both Ungrams. So that is a double copy of Ungram. I don't know how that works. Maybe there's some sort of a Chaos Portal or something. But they've got 2 Slayer Kings, and they've also got this Runesmith and a Thane to support them. So this is just going to be a Napoleonic build from these dwarves. They're all turtled up, and we're going to have to get in there and crack that nut. The one thing I did forget to mention was I do have 2 groups of Ice Wolves over here. So they've I always really like to bring the Ice Wolves now. If the opponent has some range or some artillery, you're able to get them in. They're real fast, 95 speed. They've got frostbite, so they're able to get in, get out, and just do a ton of damage. I think I'm almost always able to get value for my ice wolves. So right off the bat, you'll see here when we get this battle started that Gobbo King is coming in here, and I'm not sure if they can see him quite yet because he is here in these trees, but it is really gonna help him you know, stay alive. That all these trees up here are gonna block his approach into the enemy flanks. Over here on the left, we have started moving in, and we're just moving right in there. You see, we're starting to attack head on. And over there on the left, we are going to bring those Norsca ice wolves, and we're going to bring them around here in the back and try to get him in the rear. Now let's go ahead and let's get this charge in slow motion. This is going to be a great charge. These ice trolls, these are made. Oh man, watch this. This is going to be great. Oh, they're going to get in there, and they're just made to take out units like these longbeards. They're going to look at all those longbeards flying. That is just a huge charge. They're able to get right in there, and they're going to do a ton of damage. So typically the fact that these thunders have a good amount of armor allows them to stay alive a little bit longer in battle. But these, you know, these chariots and these trolls all charging in here. And we've even got the war mammoth charging in here as well. Look at him just trampling those units. And he is, I mean, these thunderers are already starting to waver. So those forests really did help protect Gobbo as he came in here. And you'll see that, you know, because of that legendary dwarven stamina, even though he is, look at that path he just carved through that group of thunderers. I mean, he's just doing significant damage, but, you know, the dwarf is still gonna, oh, there's another charge right in the back. But the dwarf is still managing to hold on. So, you know, it's not over yet. And we'll have to see what we can do over here on the left. In the back line, he did put some units, these Longbeards and Warriors Dragonfire Pass. He's trying to get the Dragonback Slayers. He's trying to use all of that to get a hold of those Ice Wolves. So I'm going to definitely have to try to get him away and bring him around here and get him into those cannons where I wanted him. It looks like Gobbo King had the same idea. So he's got this War Mammoth in here. He's got it already starting to take out this cannon. And if we can take out this artillery, that'll be a huge hit to our opponent. Over here on the right, you'll see this Ice Troll beatdown squad. They're just getting in, and they're doing huge damage. If you look here, they've got like 55 and 38 kills. I mean, they've each got probably about 50 kills between them. And they are able just to take these Longbeards out with just no delay. Here, you see that I have a more traditional front line. I do have all these Marauder Spearmen spread out. We've got Marauder Champions mixed in with them. And they're going to be killing those Dwarf Warriors with no problem. So besides that, we do have got our Norsca Ice Trolls into the back lines. And we're just going to continue to just charge around and do it. I mean, there's another charge there. And if we can just keep charging these trolls around, slowing units down, and just allowing our champions to get in and do some damage, that's just going to be the best possible choice. You see, we were able to get those Ice Wolves. We got them in here, and we were able to break literally all of the artillery. So besides that, with that artillery out of the way now, this War Mammoth with the War Shrine is free to get in there. These you know, Wolf Chariots are coming around. And I mean, the dwarf on the right side has really gotten spread out. Gobbo has really managed to rout a lot of these units, and he's chasing a lot more off with these Ice Wolf Chariots. So it just looks like it is not going well for the dwarves. You see, the balance of power is pretty heavily in our favor. And you can see here in the back, you can see Gobbo's Lord and the hero, the shaman there, just floating around on those chariots and trying to figure out where he could be of best use. We are also getting these Ice Wolves in the back here, and we are going to take some shots. See a charge of the Ice Wolves there. Even though they're low, they are able to get in there and do some damage. So, you know, you see there, they've actually got the speed slowed down to 14 of those Thunderers. So once those Ice Wolves catch something, that's about it. Here in the main line, you also see we're pretty much starting to wrap up. So these Marauder Hunters are kind of just here in the back. They haven't really been able to find their place. He does have a Thane attacking them, which, you know, is a pretty good value for me. It'll take that Thane a while to get through it. But if you look at this War Mammoth is down to 988 damage, and that is just a huge problem for the dwarves. So if you're able to get a War Mammoth and you're able to get him down that far, you really got to kill him. because I mean he is soaked just so much damage, and he is still causing problems. You know, that war mammoth is about to stay the day. So with 300 health, he remains. The war mammoth is just, I mean, he was 74 kills. He's still charging in there, and I mean, it was just a great game. But the low mass of the dwarves is always something that's really hard to combat. So if you're playing against the dwarves, and it's always great to bring some high mass units. If you see here, I mean, look at these chariots have been just driving through. All your heroes and lords mounted on chariots, and the dwarves are really just not able to contend with just those high mass and high acceleration units. The armor piercing of the trolls was able to really help out a lot too. Since most dwarf units are really highly armored, it's always good to have some armor piercing. But really, I think the big thing is that if you look here, I mean, Phil was not able to get a lot off. Since Gobbo King was able to charge, I mean, look at how many kills he got on these ice trolls. 75 on the war mammoth, 100 with Wolfric. Just tons and tons of kills. The ice wolves 50 each. So if you look here, he was able to get a bunch of kills with only 233 deployed. He was able to just really wreck this unit on the right. He came, you know, hidden in those trees, and he came right out and just set to work. If you look up here, Gobbo King only had 91 units left though. So even though, you know, since he brought such a low unit count, it really would have been great for Phil if he would have been able to take some of those larger units out with those Thunderers. So I would suggest not really putting him up in the front line there. Just because the dwarves are so slow, it's always pretty hard to get him out of the way if something charges in unexpectedly. If you look here at his teammate, Gandhi, he was not able to do a lot with those cannons like he had hoped. I don't know if he had him shooting in here at the War Mammoth, or if maybe he had him shooting at some of the chariots, but 7 kills and 5 kills, you really got to have a lot more, you know, spread across your units to justify the cost of these cannons. He was able to do really well with those Slayers, but his dwarf warriors and I mean the Longbeards, if you look on both sides, I mean the Longbeards were just not able to hold. So even though these units had a ton of chevrons in them, you know, to try to make them unexpectedly strong, they just got cut to pieces by just these huge charges coming from these ice trolls. If you look at my ice trolls, we have 150 kills between them. We were able to get around behind with those ice wolves and just cause him to split up his army. And so you know, even though you know, we didn't have as many kills as we'd like on my great weapons. I mean, he was able to kill a lot of those great weapons since I didn't have any shields in the front. But you know, I still had a ton of units remaining. If you look, I had 700 units remaining, so I had, you know, more than Phil even brought to the table, more than Gobbo King brought. So I mean, we still had plenty of units to go, and you saw those javelins weren't really necessary, but had I been able to get those in, I know they would have done great damage to some gyros or anything like that maybe would have came my way. That's a great game to my opponents, Gandhi and Phil. And I want to thank Gobbo King so much for playing with me. Again, if you guys haven't checked out his channel, go ahead and, you know, take a look at the Gobbo King on YouTube. You know, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe below for more great online content. This is Black Iron, and this has been another one of Black Iron's battles.